So, welcome everyone to our June 2022 Wappler Meetup. We are recording today's event for posterity. Ben Glazier will be publishing this on YouTube for future viewers. I would like to wish Ben a belated happy birthday. Today's presenter will be Bob Ice. He will be presenting a site built 100% in Wappler that has a rather complex backend. Bob studied computers in college, served in intern positions at IBM and Apple, and has been with Wappler before there was Wappler. He started with DMX Zone way back in 2002. In his spare time, he leads the Bob Ice Band in the Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri, USA. I'd like to welcome Bob Ice and take it away, Bob.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I guess I'll start at the beginning. I started with the DMX Zone in 2002. I was a network engineer, went on business for my own, and kind of needed something to do in my spare time when I wasn't on site. So I started developing websites, and basically just I needed to upload images was what the whole thing was. And I was using Macromedia at the time, and Dreamweaver, and DMX Zone had an upload component. And that's kind of where it all started with me, was the upload component. And then through the years, I've kind of stuck with George and the boys, and it just it keeps on going from going, basically starting for just uploading images to building these huge giant sites. Now, I mean, I'm like a full-fledged developer versus at first I was just doing some static stuff, trying to upload some images for clients. I live at the Lake of the Ozarks here in Missouri. We do a lot of condo sales, boat sales, dock sales, things like that. So I've got tons of sites that are built around that. I do. I have a radio show here at the Lake of the Ozarks called The Homegrown Show. I've done 300 episodes of that. I do live graphics for. We have a lot of boat races here, so I do a lot of real-time TV broadcast graphics. And then I do a lot of music stuff too. So I threw together a few pictures so people kind of know where I'm coming from as far as my music background and kind of what I do and all that stuff. So I'm going to try that. I just got some quick, I'm going to try to share this and see if this works. So this is, can you all see that?
Absolutely.
This is the backstage of the Whiskey A Go-Go in LA. This was for the 2015 LA Music Awards Rock Artist of the Year. We won there. And this is us playing at the Whiskey A Go-Go. This was a couple months ago. We played at the St. Louis Blues hockey. The hockey games in St. Louis. We played a couple of those this year, and that was us up on the Jumbotron. Picture with the cheerleaders. This was the North Dakota Music Awards. And then I played 4 shows last year with Tommy Two-Tone. So I don't know if anybody remembers the 8675309 Jenny. I played 4 shows with him. I met him and we ended up doing some shows together. Another one with me and Tommy.
Don't you have a special picture of George to show us?
I do here. It's and this I just throw a couple pictures. This is from doing the real-time racing. The Lake of the Ozarks has a lot of boat races, and I've been doing the live TV graphics. Whenever you see boat information, speeds, anything like that, that's kind of I do a lot. I've been doing that for 17 years. And just kind of showing we got set up in different places depending on where the races are, but the offshore powerboat races are actually this weekend. So kind of threw some of those up there. Picture me and Geddy Lee, just for prosperity's sake. And then I had to throw this picture in. I don't know if some folks don't know where Lake of the Ozarks is, but then there was the Netflix show called Ozark. And it's not actually filmed here, but they take a lot of beauty shots. And this is actually from Ozark, and the red arrow is actually pointing at my house. So I actually live at the Lake of the Ozarks for real. And then this picture, George and his wife and my friends, last time we were in Holland. So I just thought I'd throw that in there. Me and George trying to solve the world's problems.
World peace through Wappler.
That's right. So anyways, this is Mark, that I should kind of throw a graphic together so people can kind of understand what the back end of what I'm doing is. A lot of times, people are wanting, let's feature websites to show for things. Well, the majority of my stuff is all, it's intranet type stuff. So it's back end that's all password protected. So I can't ever really show what I do with Wappler because it's all been developed on the back end. The website I'm featuring today is called High Tech Fabrication, and they make orthopedic and orthotic prosthesis. They make foot braces. They make artificial limbs. They make all kinds of stuff. And so basically the company has 8 locations, and they have a production facility in St. Louis. And then, so basically what happens is someone orders a brace for a client, and then it gets processed through the system. And then as it's being built, it goes through production at the production facility. And there's different stages. So when the doctors and practitioners are seeing their patients, they order, and then they have to figure out when to schedule them back, because they have to come in, they have to fit the brace, make sure everything works correctly. And so with this system, I've been able to integrate it so that they can look at the production system and see where it is within the workflow, so that they can better schedule their patients to come in and when they need to come in next. Instead of waiting until they actually get the prosthetic, they can see that they can kind of better calculate it. And once we walk through the site and see how it works, you'll better understand it. But basically, we use the ordering's done through through PDFs, and I use docspring.com as the I connect through the API, and it deals with all of our forms. So the clients can actually upload their own forms and kind of configure them. And then I'll kind of go through all that process in a minute. But basically we have our web server and we have our MyTrack server, which is the actual production software. So I'm dealing with our database, I'm dealing with their database, and then their software through the workers within the factory can kind of log in and change the status. The part comes in, it has to be designed in the CAD CAM, and then it gets carved, the plastics are created, finishing, quality control, and then it's shipped out. So the people that are actually working in the factory, they attach to the software through just a local PC they have there, and it updates the status, and then the website can kind of control through that. So it's pretty simple, but it's a little convoluted here, but we'll get into it here. And I'll pull that image back up too at the end once you've kind of walked through it here. So let's see if I can find the right. I think this is what I want. I get the right window here. All right. All right, so let's just go. We're going to start at the beginning here. So this is High Tech Fab. It's going to take a second to load here. All right, so that's the giant robot that we have. Basically what happens is these foam pieces are created, and then from scans from the doctors make these scans. The foam pieces are created, and then plastics melted over those parts to create the brace or whatever it is there. So that's kind of what it does. And really, we're not going to look too much at the site today. We're just going to look at the back end on how the ordering system works and how everything's tracked. So let's see. All right, so I don't know if I should log in here first or what. So basically we've got a dashboard that the clients use, and they can order a brace, they can order prosthetics, liners, foot orthotics, order carving or spinal braces. Okay, so like I said, the PDFs are located at docspring.com, and I use Wappler's API to connect to that and pull data from there. So I'm gonna walk through the ordering process here, and you can kind of see how this works, and then I'll look at how things happen after that. So I'm going to say I'm going to order a pediatric brace. So to bring up my ordering page here, I'll just put some whatever in here. I've got there's I can show the braces. These are the braces that are available here. I can pick one of these, just pick that one. And then with especially with kids braces, they have patterns that, so the kids feel better or whatever for the braces. So we can pick a pattern, we can not pick a pattern. I'll start my process here. All right. So now here's the PDF. So this is pulled from the DocSpring site into Wappler. And we're just gonna create one here real quick. Left only. Just gotta fill out some. Okay. So I can say continue. Now it's creating the PDF within the other site. And then this is my upload part. It's kind of, I don't know, it could be a little smoother here, but I can copy the link. I just copy and paste and it'll upload. And that's just using the drop zone component. I upload it. And then now here's where you can, if you have the scans ready, because the doctors actually have to scan the legs or whatever it is to create the part. And so you can upload the scans here, or you can save them from later. So I'm going to just say, go ahead and begin the scan. Sometimes they have to get approval from insurance. So the orders can sit there for a while they're waiting for approval from insurance. And kind of the flow of this is a little different because I'm signed in as an administrator versus what an actual practitioner or an office admin would see. So I can go in here, and this is my real-time assessment of where things are within the order system. So I can come in here, and this will show all the steps. So it's going to go carver, plastics, finishing, quality control, and shipping. And that's pulled from the production system database. And then as they update that stuff, it goes through there. We can look at the PDF. So if they need to print these out, they can look at these. Maybe here it'll come up. Next, it's actually loading now.
Is this PDF stored on your server or back on the PDF server?
Okay, so at this point, it's on our server. When I did that upload procedure, it made a copy of the PDF and loaded it to our server. Now it still exists on the DocSpring server, because once in a while things will flake or the internet's weird or whatever. We can still go back and look at that. When the order's closed, then I've got a step that will actually close the order. It closes it out at DocSpring. So it stays there until the order's finished, and then it's closed, but then we still keep a copy of it on the server. I don't know, I'm having an issue with how do I get to the top thing that shows all my options here is in the way of my browser. I don't know if I can do this or not. All right, I'll go back here. So, and then, okay. So if we pick an order, let's just pick this one. This one's in finishing. I can come in here and look at the order. And this just shows what the order was. There's also a comments section. So as the order's in production, let's say that a practitioner says, "Oh, I forgot this," or "Can we? I need this," or there's changes all the time. So they can respond to a comment. Boom, it gets dropped in here, and then the guys in production can go, "Oh, there's been a change," and it'll show on the desktop. Let me go back here. Yeah, so see the blinking right here, order has new comment, so that'll pop up there. Or if the production size has a comment or a question about an order, they can add a comment, and then it automatically creates an email and sends it to them saying, "Hey, production's had a problem. What do you want us to do about it? Blah blah blah, whatever." So they can kind of go back and forth real time. So it's not a straight up real time chat, but yet it's a system where they can tell, oh, something needs to be done, etc. And then also they can, let's see, like if you notice this, it says CAD CAM files are available. So if I just pick one of these that shows CAD CAM files, I can show you that. Yeah, see, here's where we got some comments going on between the practitioner and the manufacturing guys, and then down here is the files to actually create it, because the scan. So those download. Before they were doing a funky thing where they were putting them to Dropbox, and it was this whole procedure. And so now those actually get uploaded to our site on our side. So that's pretty cool. So they can add more, change requests, anything like that is there. They can tell the status of where the order is. Now, if someone is let's just go back here. Let's go to my dashboard. I'm going back to my dashboard. I can also, we have office admins, so we can set it up so that I can look at the different practitioners. I can look at Chad's. Okay, I can go in and look at all of Chad's orders, because a lot of times the practitioners put the orders in, but the office admins actually go through and do once they get submission from insurance saying it's okay, the office admins go in and they can look at whatever practitioners they have assigned to them to go in and look at those orders. Let's see here. So the way that I have the PDF set up, basically I've just got, let's go to braces. So this is basically a link to the DocSpring setup on the PDFs here. So what I do is certain things within the order have certain different pricing structures. Okay, so if we, and I don't know what any of them are here, but if we need an inner boot, or we need a medial containment, or any stuff like that, each of these are assigned a value. It's hard to see because it's on the side. So basically I've got you'll have one checkbox, and I've got three other checkboxes or fields that are hidden, and I call it the CK system. So it's just I call it a check system. So basically one value says whether it doubles if it's bilateral, one says quantity, one says what the actual ID of the part within the production is. So when it comes into my track, it pulls all the variables from the form, dumps them into my action script, my server side action script, and then it figures out which items it needs to add to the order. And then once that order gets implemented into the production system into MyTrack, then it actually from there even actually auto imports it into QuickBooks. So the whole thing goes from the order to being produced to being shipped, and then from there it goes to actually into QuickBooks. So the whole stage is automated as it goes through.
Cool.
So yeah, it's you know, and you can, because it's like this. We didn't think this whole thing out in advance. The owner's kind of crazy like that. So basically it's like, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? And then once we get going, like, oh, and can you do this? Oh, and can you do that? You know, so it's not like, let's plan the whole thing out in advance, you know, because originally when we started doing this, I thought it was just the high-tech employees that we were going to be dealing with. But now we're dealing with companies all over the world that are ordering braces from the company. So it's kind of an ongoing thing. And just to kick out, I know that a lot of people, you know, right now the thing is, you know, going to Node.js and doing the Node as the back end. But I basically built this whole system on using ASP Classic. So it can be done. And I think the thing with me, you know, showing this is that, you know, the power of Wappler to do things like this. I don't think people, you know, because they're talking about bubble and doing this and that, some of these other make it, you know, on your own. You know, this is pretty advanced as far as the information that's all being bounced around. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? I mean, I guess that's the basics of how it works.
But there are certainly a lot of details there, Bob. Can I ask a couple questions?
Absolutely.
First off, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put your questions in the chat, and we'll get them routed to Bob the best we can. How many different users do you have using this site?
I think we've got, I can tell you here, you know, we've got 200, I guess, maybe.
Wow. It's really interesting how you connected everything together. Was it basically using QuickBooks, for example? Was that using QuickBooks API, or how did you do that?
No, that's actually linked through the MyTrack software that's on the production server side of things. That's actually generated through that. But I'm able to put the information into the orders on that side through Wappler so that it can be exported out that way. Because there's basically what you end up having is you have it creates a work order, and we track it through the work order. Then that creates a sales order, and then once we close it out, then that creates an invoice, and so the invoice then goes to QuickBooks. But that's all generated through Wappler, and it's cool. So basically part of the things that I do, I use I'm using stored procedures that were already pre-existing stored procedures with the production software. So sometimes I can push the data through a stored procedure. Sometimes I have to go through and insert all the columns in all the places I need, because for each action I'm dumping stuff into the high-tech database, and then some of the times I'm dumping information into the MyTrack database. And really when this thing started, you know, 3 or 4 years ago or whatever, we were actually using SQL Express on the high-tech side, and we were using the full SQL on the other side. I think I had to update it because of the way that Wappler connected to them, or when they changed, I had to update the servers to both the SQL. So we just put a SQL server in, because these are both all three of these servers I've built and set up for high tech. I mean, I've actually installed them on site and blah blah, and did all that.
Wow. Can At some point in your presentation here, can you show us one of the backend server actions or APIs?
Sure, absolutely. Let me see if I can.
I think our audience would appreciate a step-by-step of how these work and kind of an insight into Bob Ice's brain.
Yeah,
Oh my
okay.
goodness.
Yeah, so this is, let me figure out
I think Paul just fell off his chair.
let me figure out which, I got a couple of these open here. Hang on, let's see. My problem is that bar at the top keeps getting me. Let's see, manual send. We'll look at the upload. All right. So this is the whenever you're creating the PDF and the PDF's being loaded into our system. This is the action script that I use for that, and it's fairly extensive. But really it's not as complicated as it seems. And what I've gotten to do a lot, and what I've loved when they added was adding these comments, because you'll code something, or you'll be up at 4 o'clock in the morning working on something, and the next day you're like, oh my gosh, what was that step for? I can't remember what that step was for. So the comments are great for me trying to keep track of what's going on. And because you do something, and 6 months later you come back, it's like, what was I doing? So I've tried to like over comment things, because you think you can remember it, but you can't. But anyways, let me show you here. Okay. So I got a ton of these conditions, and you'll see these here. I'll just kind of close them so you can see, because like I had all these different forms, and they're all these medical terms, and I have to tell the owner all the time, it's like, I'm not a practitioner. I don't know what any of these terms mean, So basically what I did was I made this check system. So it's just a series of check boxes, basically 1 through, I think, about 40. So each of those check boxes, I can just assign a checkbox, and then this code comes through and basically says, is it bilateral, which means both feet? Because if it's that means there's 2. And then so I'm going to charge one way if it's bilateral. I'm going to charge the other way if it's not. But I can go through, and I have all these check boxes set up so that you can kind of, it's generic. You can just assign it. The checkbox doesn't have to be the name of what it is on the form. So I kind of go through all the check boxes. Let me see, go down the bottom here. Yeah, and so then it's just I got a few specific charges that I had to do in case a couple of them were a little bit weird. I had to add some stuff here, but it sends the mail, it sends a copy. Once the PDF is dropped into our system, it also sends the practitioner a copy of it in an email. So they have it for their records, we have it for our records, and it still exists on DocSpring until it's actually deleted. Because I think I've got another, let's see, manual send, what's this one? Send. Yeah, I'm not sure where I've got it. I've got, I've got a lot of custom queries too, because that one's not very exciting, but but using the exec and using the stored procedures, it kind of took me a while to figure that out within Wappler. But I love the data, the custom queries, because I use those all the time.
Can you explain where and how you use the custom queries and why?
Well, okay, so as the data is, there's like within the MyTrack side of things. Okay, this is a database I didn't design, and so I'm having to reverse engineer that. Okay, so whenever something happens, There's a bunch of other processes that sit there on the backside that I don't really know anything about. I mean, as far as because a work order is created and then it's quote unquote released, and then that basically says the thing's going, and you can kind of release and unrelease it. Because at the production facility, we have a set of TVs that's all around that has a list of all the orders that are in the system at each station. So the CAD CAM guys can look, and they can look up at their chart and say, okay, we can see which orders are there. So whether an order is released or not released determines whether that goes up on that chart, up on those screens. So some of that back end happens automatically if you use the other company's stored procedures versus me just straight putting things in. And sometimes some of those fields also have triggers, which means you can set a trigger on a field that says, if I insert a new order, then you need to double check these things and look at these things. So sometimes they're stored procedures, sometimes they're triggers. So I just kind of, I have to reverse engineer it. I've got, obviously I can get tech support from the company that we use it on, but a lot of it's just me sitting there going through all of their stored procedures and all of their fields and just trying to figure out what goes where. And after I've done all this, I mean, a lot of that stuff now is I understand how it's built and how everything relates to each other. So it's just a matter of if I can, because if you can just enter a stored procedure, it's one stored procedure. I throw 4 or 5 items at it, and then it can do the rest. Versus, because if you look down here, I query the address information state. I insert the sales order. I query the details. I insert the sales order line. Sales order line lot. Insert the work order job. There's a bunch of different things. I go in there and have to manually insert each of those things within their database. And it just sometimes I can use stored procedures to do that. If that makes any sense to anybody. Let's see. Any other questions? I guess maybe.
Yes, we have another question in the chat.
Ooh, chat question! Yay!
Is there any part of the website that's public facing, or is it all internal or intranet?
No, there is the public facing side. Let's see. Let's see how do I share that again. Let me share. Oops, new share. And then share. I mean, the high tech fab this is all the public side. I've got the store. We can look at orthotic supplies, and this is the whole web store version of this is all built in Wappler. I think I used who had the tutorial. Ben maybe had a tutorial on using the storefront, and so this whole thing is built on that. We don't take credit cards because all of the companies have accounts with us. So I had to re-engineer that as far as how any of that stuff works. But these orders all get shipped in, and even these orders, the front facing orders get pushed into MyTrack and then all the way through into QuickBooks also. But you can kind of look around at some of this stuff on the front side of things. Look here, yeah, it just talks about the fabrication process. The scans and how things work. It's not too overly complicated. I'm not the greatest at anything. I'm not a great designer. I'm not a great CSS guy. I'm not the best SQL Server guy ever, but I'm kind of decent at all the stuff. So I kind of just put it together and we just kind of go with the flow.
A jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, because really my pedigree was in computer networks. So, as far as this fabrication production facility, when they built it, I rewired the whole building. I set the entire network up. I built the data center. I've installed all the servers. So I've kind of did this whole thing from the ground up.
Holy cow.
So I know just enough to be dangerous.
But a couple of questions on your Wappler server actions. Are they, I'm kind of losing track. Are they still being called server actions or APIs or?
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. That's a great question because I just, when I put them in my code and I put them in the on the client side, I still mark them over there as server actions because in my mind those are pulling data. So I know the names kind of changed, but I still call them server actions.
Okay, so we'll do that until George tells us differently. Um, you just explained how the different servers it was located on site at your clients. What kind of specs, what kind of horsepower specifications does the server have to handle that mountain of Wappler APIs, server actions?
It's been a while since I put those in. So I don't know off the top of my head. We've got RAID 10 drives. I mean, the as far as fault tolerance, I think we've got 12, 16 cores, something like that, and probably like I can't think what we had. We got several hundred gig of RAM in each of those servers. Well, because we also have another software that they use that tracks all of the billing and all of that. Another thing that that's another medical software. So they're all using remote desktop to get to use that system. So we've got a lot of horsepower on that. That's not integrated with this as of yet, but in the future, who knows what'll happen. What we're looking to do is to integrate some scanning software in a mobile device. So when the practitioner's with the patient and they do they're doing the scans right now, they have like a special high-end scanner to scan the braces and stuff versus with like the iPhones, their scanning technology is getting so good that it's actually getting to the point where it's useful enough to do a 3D scan to where we could create prosthetics from them. So that's kind of on the close horizon of things that we have to look for that we're kind of working on and to integrate that into our system too.
That's amazing. Maybe when you're done with that, we can have you come back and explain how all that works. That sounds fascinating.
Yeah, I still have to figure out how it works. So it's but it's in the queue. I mean, I think the company has I believe in the last year's doubled what they were doing, and we're on target to double again this year. As far as companies joining onto our system and learn, the owner of the company is trying to sell my system to someone else. They're like, hey, we that's a really cool system. We'd like to have that too. And my thoughts on that are that if it came down to that, I would probably rebuild this from scratch and maybe do node.js or something like that, and then containerize the whole thing, do a AWS and containerize, have the databases, have the web server, all that. And then basically if someone says, hey, we want to buy this, and we just, okay, boom, we just create another container, has all the systems in there, boom, 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 here you go. And it's out the door. We change the name of the company in the database. It populates everything based on that company's info. So I think at some point, he's wanting to sell it and I'm trying to finish it. It's like we still have things that we add and change all the time. So it's been a big learning experience. And like I've said, I've been doing stuff with DMX Zone and Wappler for such a long time, and I've learned a lot of stuff as we go along. So it's been a pretty exciting experience.
Another question on the server actions. Is there like a maximum number of steps that you run into, or any issues with the quantity of steps?
At this point, I've not had any issues with running that, not that I know of. Originally, a lot of times I was using multiple actions, but anymore I combine so much stuff into one action. I believe that and you'd have to ask the guys at Wappler probably, that it tends to be less of a toll on the database server if you combine the actions versus having multiple actions, as far as the amount of times that it hits the server and does some of that stuff, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any limitations. I've not hit any.
Okay, that's good information. What how,
because I've seen some of the other guys on Wappler's, some of their and really I love actually seeing other people's action scripts, because you look at them and go, oh, I never thought to do about it like that, or oh, you're doing it like that. Oh, okay. It's like it's because when you're, the only people I have to help me is the forum. I don't know anyone else that's doing this stuff and at the level that I'm doing it at. So it's nice to have the forum. The forum is spectacular in my mind, as far as being useful to the product. In the previous years before Wappler, when it was DMX Zone, they had forums, but it was kind of specific to each extension. So it wasn't so, but now everything's combined all in one forum. So to me, it's easier to get support. And, sometimes I get, cause I'm in the US. So, I have to, sometimes I have to get up earlier than I planned, just so I can get something into the, on the forum to hope to get, support, cause usually what happens is I need support about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, my time, but that's 10, 11 midnight, Dutch time. So it's like, I end up having to wait till the next day. But sometimes I've had, I'll get an answer like at a, Theodore, he's the man though, I'll get, you'll get crazy, 11 o'clock his time or whatever, 12 o'clock. I'm like, what are you doing this late at night? Looking at this stuff. You guys need to have a life at some point.
Yeah, there is some really good support there. I'd like to ask our audience if you have any for future Wappler meetups. We want to do these the first Friday of every month at 4 o'clock Netherlands time. And you can find people can find the links to the meetups in the coffee lounge in the Wappler community. But I'd like to ask the audience if you have any future topics that you would like to have brought up in a meetup. Please let us know in the chat, so we can try to get you the information that you'd like to see. I got another question, Bob, about the API. It seems to be popular today. How do you troubleshoot this if it doesn't work as you expect it? I'm sure that never happens to you.
It happens to me all the time, actually. I tell you the thing, what I do most is, you've got the disable action steps. And so I'll kind of like, I'll start at the bottom and disable everything up to a step. And I can, what steps causing me the problem. And then from there I can troubleshoot that step. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll put a try. What's the step I'm looking for? It's core action, try catch. Okay, so I can do a try catch step that'll say try this, and then if it doesn't work, then I'll set a response code of 400 or whatever the air 301, whatever the response codes are. So when I'm troubleshooting it in the browser webmaster tools, I can pinpoint which steps actually causing me the problem. You know, it'll because sometimes I'll have like the, you know, insert work order step, or the mail step, or some, whatever the step. I can create those responses so that when I'm troubleshooting in the browser, I can actually see what's causing the issue, at least kind of hone it in. I mean, the one thing that I have the biggest problem with is trying to insert data of the wrong type. Okay. So when I'm doing an insert and I'm trying to insert, let's say 40 fields, and I have I'm slapping in a text value into a number field, or just who knows what the issue is. How do I troubleshoot that? And that's where I get stuck a lot on. In the old Dreamweaver, you could actually, test the statement, and it would actually tell you which field was causing you the problem. And I wish there was a way in Wappler that they could, and we've talked about it, trying to come up with a better way to isolate that. But at this point, I just kind of, if I go, okay, this is my issue. And so then sometimes what I end up having to do is just start deleting fields out of the insert until I find the one that's causing me problems.
Interesting. The try catch sounds like an excellent step to kind of zero in on where the problem might be, especially when you have so many different actions.
Yeah. Because some of my action scripts are pretty long. And if you look
Longer than this one.
Yes. Yeah, some of them are, yeah. But if you look at the number of APIs that I use, or there's I've got lots and lots and lots of them. And sometimes it's just a matter of brute force, turning steps off, trying to figure out if that's what the issue is. And then sometimes when you're doing your insert and some of that stuff, it's just looking in your browser tools and looking in the console and looking at the network stuff to figure out what the actual step is. And because let's see here, let me go back here. Share here. Share. All right. And we'll just jump in here for a sec. And I'm gonna look at network. Let's go to reload it. And this page actually is real time too. So it's got the, if you just leave it's got a timer. I can't remember what you call that, but the page updates real time. You'll see it's got a little spinner thing that tells when the page is loading. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I spend, I don't know how much time, here digging through these things, looking what's actually being kicked out as far as the data, and learning how to look at this data from the tools and try to reverse think, okay, what step am I on, where, and this is where it comes in. I told you on those try catches, sending a response, because I can look in here and figure out what the actual step that's being tripped up it is. So I can kind of just go through here and you get used to looking at the way that am I getting the data the way I want it? If I look in here and the data looks right here, okay, well then there must be something wrong with your code. So I go back and forth between those two things to figure out and troubleshoot.
Well, that's an excellent idea, Bob. Your explanations of the APIs and like the try catch was definitely worth my time today. That's going to save literally days in the future, future developing.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time, so it's like just like God, what's banging your head against the table. It's like sometimes it's good to just walk away and go, I need to walk away for a few minutes here. A lot of time. What's crazy is because a lot of times I'll ride my bicycle to lunch, and I'll just hit the wall, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to lunch. I ride my bike up, and then I won't even be thinking about the problem, and then well, try it like this. How can I isolate the problem? And I tell you another thing too, which I've found over the years with working with the Wappler stuff is you've got so much stuff going on a page, so many different things that are happening, so many extensions are on a page that whenever I'm having a problem, like, why won't this work? I'll make a new page. I'll run just the process I'm trying to test and get it to work on that page and say, okay, well, it's working here. And then I can go back and compare that against the other page. And, because sometimes you'll copy code from one page to another, right, but you didn't think that, well, I need the JavaScript includes at the top to make that work. So you can I create the blank page and then I can compare it to the actual page and go, oh, well, you copied the code, but you didn't copy the extra stuff that needs to be in the header.
That's a good idea. All right, we're coming to the end of our meetup here today. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank Bob Ice for his first worldwide global presentation. So I want to thank George and all the guys on the Wappler team. I want to give a shout out to Ben Palazier from Down Under in Australia for taking these videos and making sure they get on YouTube and promoting the meetups on YouTube. So as you're going through the community, invite people to join us at our monthly meetups. I also want to give a shout out to Ken Truesdale of Unique Ideas. Ken has some really stellar Wappler Getting Started courses online. You can find him in the community. And so for you Wapplers out there that are just getting started, I would definitely recommend looking up Ken Truesdale. He's known as Me Being Ken in the community. So I thank you all once again for joining us. I hope everybody has a safe and prosperous day, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.
All right, sounds great.
Take care, be well, and be safe.
Thanks.
Signing off.